What is Operation Mincemeat, the new-ish musical that is taking London by storm and is rumored to hop across the pond? If you're new here, my name is Katharine Quinn. I talk about Broadway, lifestyle, and financial freedom. I also work in theater. I'm currently working on The Great Gatsby at Paper Mill Playhouse, as well as How to Dance in Ohio on Broadway. I was on the writing team for Shucked earlier this year. I live and breathe theater for better or worse, and it's my favorite thing in the world. My girlfriend and I took a trip to London to see 4 shows in 4 days in London. Operation Mincemeat was one of them. The other shows that we saw, just for frame of reference, were Next to Normal at Donmar Warehouse, Guys and Dolls on the West End, and Sunset Boulevard starring Pussycat Doll Nicole Scherzinger. Scherzinger? I'm gonna learn how to say her name properly before I make a video about it. Operation Mincemeat was the show that I went in knowing literally nothing about. I just knew it was buzzy, lots of people had recommended it to me, and I was curious. As soon as I posted that I was at the show, a few of my producer friends were like, oh, New York producers are shopping this around in New York. So there's also a real possibility that over in the States we will get a little mincemeat action of our own, which I think is very interesting, especially now having seen it. The show is such a treat. It is so silly, it's so fun. Yes, there is an Operation Mincemeat movie, and it is the same general plot, which is a larky account of the World War II Operation Mincemeat, a ploy from the British intelligence to feed the German army disinformation via a briefcase of false war plans strapped to a corpse that they hope to pass off as a downed British pilot. That is the plot of this musical. Now, here's what I want to say. As I was looking at reviews of the show post seeing it, I don't believe in reading reviews prior to seeing the show, in the British reviews there are numerous comparisons to Hamilton. I feel that this is a pretty false comparison, and I feel like that's going to set up particularly American audiences for not the correct vibe. Whereas I feel Hamilton is inherently incredibly American, Operation Mincemeat is inherently incredibly British. Like very, very British. The humor is very British in tone. It is literally about British humans. It has a completely different sensibility than Hamilton. And whereas Hamilton is like this sweeping, large-scale musical theater, people of color, rapping R&B extravaganza, Mincemeat to me feels much more in line with like Six, a small scale fringe musical that's very smart and snarky and cheeky and has worked its way up to a West End audience. It's cheap to produce. Me thinking like a commercial theater producer. It is cheap to produce, it's funny, it's enjoyable, but it is in no way the mammoth scale Hamilton. Now, I think where those references are coming from, you know, we're talking about a historical event, there is rapping. I'm actually just gonna say some of the rapping didn't completely land for me coming from this cast, but you know what? It was like such small potatoes compared to how much I enjoyed the production overall. It's a very, very clever, very silly, very fun show. Hi friends, switching cameras, gonna continue this review here. The show is written by Spitlip, which is a theater group. 3 out of the 4 Spitlip company members are in Operation Mincemeat. We'll throw a photo of them up here. And the show feels very like startup-y, so you feel really excited. I don't know, I do feel like the show has an inherent sense of excitement about it. It feels like theater kids putting on the world's best improv musical you've ever seen, which isn't to say that if you're not a theater kid, you won't enjoy it. It just feels like it has the soul and sensibility of a theater kid. Something I love about the show is it's totally gender bent. It is gender blind. There is no rhyme or reason to whomever is playing whatever role. And I think that's delicious and wonderful. I mean, I do think that like the handling of women and women's power is done in a very smart way in terms of the casting and generally commenting on something that certainly wasn't commented on at the time of World War II. And the other thing that I think is really interesting is the show is not just a nonstop laugh fest. I think as a piece of theater, it's very, very well balanced. There's really poignant and beautiful moments in addition to the ones where you're just laughing your ass off. This comparison has been made before, but if you are a Star Kid fan, this show is absolutely for you. Now, here's an interesting question. How do we think that this is going to fare in the US? I don't no. I can certainly see it having a life, but I can't fathom it excelling on Broadway, necessarily. 6 was a smash, but I do think that the score is poppier and perhaps a hair more accessible than Mincemeat, even though I really enjoyed the music of Mincemeat. And my girlfriend walked out being like, oh, I can't wait to listen to the recording. It's a delight. It's very charming, but it is very, 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 very British. And shows on Broadway right now that don't have massive blockbuster film titles behind them or giant stars in them are having a really hard time. Again, 6 was an exception to this rule, and it was a British show that started at the Fringe and worked its way through the ranks and then came over. I do believe that Mincemeat could have its rabid fan base here. I just don't see it as a super commercially successful Broadway show. So I'll be really curious to see where they try to market the show and what its American life possibly could be. If you have seen Operation Mincemeat, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Please feel free to follow me on Instagram and TikTok at It's Katharine Quinn. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about all of the various shows that I'm working on and seeing. If you missed my review for Next to Normal at Donmar Warehouse, I will link that right up here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!